Sometimes you have to reinvent yourself in life. When kids go off to uni, it's a fresh start that gives them a chance to be someone else. Often it feels when your new friends find out how much of a weirdo you actually are, but the art of reinvention is everywhere, especially in football. So many times we've seen players have to change their game throughout their career to suit a certain manager or to get themselves extra game time, or even just because their body won't work like it used to. Here are 8 players who had to reinvent themselves, the successes and the failures. First up, we've got Fabian Delph. Our most recent example of players reinventing themselves, Fabian Delph is currently having a new lease of life at Manchester City since being deployed at left back. With Benjamin Mendy ruled out due to injury, Pep Guardiola turned to the England midfielder to slot in on the left side of defence, and Delph has performed brilliantly, looking unfazed as City continue their unbeaten start of the season. Delph even found himself on the score sheet the other week, thriving in his new role at left back, which has finally made him a wanted man at City, although he's probably being helped out by all the stars around him, but well done anyway, Fabian. Next up, we've got Dwight Yorke. The Trinidad and Tobago man is most famous for his partnership up front with Andy Cole at Manchester United, where the pair combined sensationally to tear up Premier League defences and score boatloads of goals between them. Yorke spent most of his career as a striker, even linking back up with Cole when he joined Blackburn in 2002. However, things changed for Yorke when he joined Sunderland to work for former teammate Roy Keane, with the striker being deployed as a holding midfielder, with the Black Cats looking to return to the Premier League. An intelligent player and a brilliant reader of the game, Yorke had no issues in becoming a defensive midfielder and helped Sunderland win the championship. Up next, it's Alan Smith. Famous for cropping up anywhere, Alan Smith was always a striker at Leeds, with his hard work up the top of the pitch a feature of his game. When Leeds hit financial difficulties and Smith signed for rivals Manchester United, Sir Alex Ferguson decided after a year that he had a different use for Smudger, attempting to mould him into the eventual successor to Roy Keane, famous for his dominant midfield performances and strong tackling. A broken leg pretty much derailed Smith's centre-mid career at Old Trafford, but he did reprise the role at Newcastle as he helped captain them to the Championship title, picking up as many bookings as possible on the way. Now with Notts County under Kevin Nolan, Smith is still being deployed in the middle of the park despite his ageing legs. Next, we've got Antonio Valencia. A real success story in the art of reinvention, Antonio Valencia probably wouldn't be a Manchester United player right now if he hadn't been able to convert himself into a defender. The Ecuadorian had spent the majority of his career as a right winger, but wasn't quite having the same impact as he used to. When Louis van Gaal arrived at Old Trafford, the Dutchman decided to go the whole hog and make Valencia a defender, a position he had sporadically played in years gone by. Fast forward 3 years, and Valencia is now Manchester United captain during the absence of Michael Carrick, and is recognised as one of the best right backs in the Premier League today. Next up, we've got Lee McCulloch. To put things bluntly, Lee McCulloch started his career at one end of the pitch and ended it at the other. A promising striker during his early days, McCulloch led the line for both Motherwell and Wigan Athletic before being shifted over to the left side of midfield during his time with the Latics. In 2007, the Scot joined Rangers where his reinvention really began, becoming a defensive midfielder much like Dwight Yorke did, as well as being played as a central defender, showing off how versatile he really was. Now retired at the age of 39, McCulloch is simply known as a utility man. It's been that long since he had a consistent position on the pitch. Up next, it's Kieran Richardson. Not all stories of reinvention are successful ones, just like Kieran Richardson, who Steve Bruce tried his best to turn him into anything he wanted to be. During the early stages of his career, Richardson was deployed as either a winger or as a centre midfielder, and when he left Manchester United to join Sunderland, it was central midfield where he was most at home. That was until Bruce decided that left back was Richardson's calling in life, even touting him for a role in the England squad. The Three Lions didn't come calling, and Richardson's next role was an attacking midfielder, scoring twice in a victory over Blackpool playing behind the striker, another position that Richardson eventually wouldn't call his home. Now aged 33 and without a club, it's a mystery where his best position actually is, with the art of reinvention not quite working on this occasion. Next up, we've got Craig Bellamy. While often it is a manager's idea for a player to reinvent themselves, sometimes it's the player, and that's exactly what happened to Craig Bellamy during his time at Manchester City. Around the time that Didier Drogba arrived in the Premier League, playing two strikers began to die out, meaning Bellamy was in trouble, always the little man to play off his partner, at a club where he would have to compete with Carlos Tevez and Adebayor to be the main striker. So instead, the Welshman spotted a weakness in the team on the left flank with Robinho, bullying the Brazilian out the side and becoming a left winger, a role that he would continue to play until his retirement at Cardiff. Was this actually reinvention or just bullying? Either way, it worked for Bellamy. And finally, we've got Gareth Bale. During the early stages of his career, Gareth Bale was a long-haired left-back, struggling to make his way in the world of football despite the hype surrounding him. After a woeful beginning at Tottenham where he couldn't even win a game, manager Harry Redknapp decided to put Bale's explosive pace to use further up the pitch, changing him from a left-back to a left winger, where he's since developed into one of the most fierce wide men around, with his dribbling ability and speed terrifying any defender. It was the development from full-back to flying winger that saw Real Madrid splash out at what was a world record fee for the Welshman, because no one was ever going to spend £85 million on a left-back. So those are 8 players who reinvented themselves. Let us know of any more in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.